has reached even the quietest of places. On a cold winter's night in 1926, death came to the quiet little hamlet of Ebenezer.
Ebenezer, on the outskirts of Ipswich, was all dairy farms and hardy families forging a living in their rural community. But it was also the scene of a shocking crime which claimed the life of a young girl. Carolyn Stevenson is author of Horse Tracks and Stirrup Irons, Death Comes to Ebenezer, and she knows more about the fate of Louisa Bardi.
She was a typical 17-year-old from this time. She was quiet, lived at home with mum and her sisters. She wouldn't have got out a lot. Besides country dances at nearby halls, she was a good girl. Church on Sundays, she'd done well at school, she was very bright, and she spent her days at home helping mum, helping dad.
On Wednesday, the 9th of June, at around 9 p.m, Louisa slipped out of bed, walked out of the family home and set out to meet the man she loved, as she had done many times before. But this night, she did not have a date with her lover. She had a date with death.
Louisa had found out that she was pregnant and she'd been hiding it from her family, and she'd got to the stage where she couldn't hide it anymore. The buttons on her dresses wouldn't do up. Her sister had started asking questions, and that night she went to meet this man. I think it was in her mind that they were going to run away that night and make a home for her and the baby.
We can only imagine how alone and fearful Louisa felt. It was then that she heard the sound of a horse coming down the track, and she waved as she saw the familiar figure of the rider.
It seemed the assailant had come up beside Louisa on horseback and had swung what seemed to be a stirrup iron at her head, quite violently.
At 2 p.m. the next day, Rosewood Police received a call that Louisa was missing, and only a short time later, her parents had to face the worst news possible.
Once the parents had found Louisa, the police were called in and detectives were sent down from Brisbane, and they did the only thing they could. They brought a tracker with them. George Munro was a well-respected tracker, and he was faced with the job of trying to find who had done this.
The tracks that were found at the scene of the crime show that the horse had a damaged hoof, and this enabled George Munro to follow the prints over a great distance. They led him to the Crown Hotel and ultimately to Louisa's killer and father of her unborn baby, Alan Jeans, her next-door neighbour.
This case was enormous, wasn't it, Carolyn?
It was the talk of Ipswich. And even overseas, the newspapers covered this story. They had comics and cartoons depicting what they thought had happened. And in the big capital cities in Australia, it was daily news. Rosewood became a hub of reporters and media and cameramen.
On Friday, the 6th of August 1926, Alan James was found guilty and sentenced to life in Boggo Road Jail.
Today, Ebenezer is almost forgotten. The churches have gone, the schoolhouse is closed. Dairy farms have given way to acreage blocks and horse studs. However, the cemetery survives, and here, the tombstone of Louisa Bardi is a permanent reminder of the night that death came to Ebenezer.
There are a series of true crime books available through the Jack Sim website, and this book is the second in a series of 6. Each one sends you on a self-guided tour so you can see for yourself the darker side of Southeast Queensland.